New South Wales Premier Chris Minns has rejected calls for the state government to fund an upgrade of Leichhardt Oval, sparking fear among Tigers fans that the spiritual home of the club could be left to rot.
I appreciate that. They've got to make a decision about their club and where they play their home games. But we, as everybody here knows, have got $180 billion worth of debt in New South Wales, and I don't have spare dollars at the moment to pump into Leichhardt Oval. For Tigers games, they're split between those two home grounds. You know, my real fear is that we put money into Leichhardt and then the week afterwards they'll say, well, now we need the money for Campbelltown.
Reedy, not good news today for Tigers fans and Leichhardt Oval, with Premier Chris Minns pretty much squashing the idea of a new stadium.
Yeah, and old Hoops will be disappointed, won't he? I think he polished his head a bit much yesterday because he was into me, calling me Peabody.
Go easy.
He did. He called you Peabody. The disgrace.
Started early. The disgrace.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Well, it's basically the death knell, Braith, because they need $30 million at a very minimum, and the government's not going to put that money in. So I'm not sure they've got any other options now. And
I think they've got options.
Well, what have they got, Kenty?
Well, I'll tell you what. At the moment, they get the ground for basically a pittance. Okay, 10 years ago, Grant May was talking about taking the game elsewhere. So the council came in and said, "Look, you basically get it for nothing." Now, whatever is a fee there is now, it's nominal. Okay.
But what does that matter? They're not making money out of it.
They're not making money. But if the NRL, I spoke to Peter V'landys today. I spoke to Darcy Byrne today, who's the mayor of the West Council. They're of the belief. Darcy Byrne says it's not over. V'landys said to me, he said, it's a landlord-tenant relationship. If we start paying rent, we'll actually pay through our rental payments for an upgrade of the ground. So they're going to try and put it to the NRL that way.
That's a lot of rental payments, $30 million, Kenty.
Well, it's not going anywhere.
And I'll tell you, I think people miss the point of this, Braith. It got overlooked last night as well. Football clubs cannot rely on poker machine money till the end of time, right? I think they got $2 million last year out of the Leagues Club, the football club. At some point, the government is going to cut off the poker machine. It's going to happen eventually, right? Football clubs have got to stand on their own 2 feet. The West Tigers cannot stand on their own 2 feet playing at a ground where they make no money. No money, even when they pack it out. And they pay minimal rent. They don't make money out of it. They've got to stand on their own 2 feet.
As much money as they could. As much as they took it elsewhere.
To
I get that.
To Kenny's point, I think it's so important that the West Tigers play out of Leichhardt Oval. I really do. Because suburban grounds and the tribalism of rugby league is everything that makes rugby league so different and so special about our sport. That's why it's so popular. And if the NRL don't step in, and I'm not saying, 5, 6, 7, 8 games a year, the West Tigers cannot afford to abandon Leichhardt Oval, and the NRL need to know how important their fabric is to that community. They're already a nomadic club. You move them out of that area, you're shifting them off to somewhere else. They lose their identity.
This fight's becoming the rugby league version of the castle. I love it. It really is. The fans are going to fight for it. The government's going to sit there and go, well, hang on, what are we going to do here? Because I agree with Dave, I agree with you. They've got to find ways to make money, but there's got to be a way around whatever they do. They've got to try and find a way to keep those images and all this from the other night, because the publicity out of that is worth how much? And the goodwill that generates is worth so much to the game. And there's too many games, Reedy, where we are turning up and people go, you know what, it's a pretty dull atmosphere here tonight. And when you get these moments and you get these kids on the hill, which there were kids on the hill despite reports that there weren't, and despite some people saying there weren't, there was kids everywhere on the hill. I know fathers that were there with their daughters. Those kids are going to bring their kids. You're creating generations of supporters by doing it.
What would the A-League be thinking about those images, to your point? Yeah. It's the easiest PR the game can get. Yeah. Super Rugby. Look at those. Look at the images. You can't pay for that.
There's 2 things I'd say. You don't support a football ground. You support a football club, and a proper supporter will follow the football club wherever they take the team. If they're not at Leichhardt, if they're West Tigers fans, they'll follow the team wherever it ends up. Right? The second part is, it's all well and good to say, look at these scenes, Kenty, right? But if you don't spend money on that ground, they're going to shut it down. It doesn't matter.
But I'll also say this to your point about following the team. We've got this whole generation now where people will turn up to Melbourne Cup who couldn't tell you the right end of the horse to follow, okay, but they'll turn up because it's an event to be at. They'll turn up to the Formula One. They couldn't drive a car, but they'll turn up there This is a similar. This is a similar
are
experience.
you comparing Melbourne Cup Day to an afternoon at Leichhardt?
It's a local.
That will do
on a local level, for a lot of those people, they aren't people who are going to go to probably any other ground to watch, but they'll turn up to Leichhardt to watch. They will turn up
how
there.
How the fans reacted to
to
you wanting Leichhardt burnt down?
I think Hoops is a snapshot of the West Tigers fan base. Yeah, it hasn't been good.
What about Shane? What about Shane Richardson? Does he just want him out of there? He's been pretty staunch with this.
Shane Richardson's job is to get the bottom line going at West Tigers. CEO, and particularly given the fact he's there on a short-term deal. And Shane Richardson has shown the capacity to do this before when he took over at South Sydney and the club promised endlessly that they were never going to leave. It was Allianz back then or whatever it was, and within 12 months they were playing out at Homebush. And because you know why? From a commercial point of view, they got a better deal.
And the fans didn't like that either.
The fans didn't like that either. And you know what the fans said? Stiff cheddar. Who cares?
They got a new fan base so out of that, Kenty. They got a lot of sports in Western Sydney.
They claim that. But,
well, the fans turn up to watch them play. They get decent crowds. Yeah. So some people follow.
And to be fair, what are South considering now?
Going back.
Yeah.
Well, that's because it's a better stadium, though, Dave.
They want to move back to their heartland. The West Tigers' heartland.
They want to move back because it's a state-of-the-art stadium.
You're asking the West Tigers to move their fan base out of their heartland. It's ridiculous.
Okay. Well, their fan base is split between two heartlands anyway. They haven't even got a home, mate. They've got two homes.
I wouldn't say Campbelltown's a patch as far as an experience that Leichhardt is.
Kenny, you mentioned you spoke to Peter V'landys today. Is there any chance, and you've written it in your article, I believe it'll be in tomorrow, it's on the website now, that they could possibly buy it?
Yeah, look, the NRL's come out this year and they said, OK, we've got $260 million in assets. We've just made $51 million in profit in turnover the last year. We've got like $700 million turnover, $50 million profit. And I said to V'landys, look, and they're buying hotels, they're buying different assets around the state to try and shore up the NRL. I said, is there any chance you go in and just say, listen, given how much Wayne Pearce, the commissioner, came out this week and said how important Leichhardt is, Peter V'landys supported his comments, and I said, is there any chance that, given that, you'd look at making Leichhardt Oval one of your assets? And he said, look, if they'd offered it to us, he said, absolutely, we'd look at it. And, the NRL, look, I don't know how much it costs.
Hang on,
So you're basically going to buy a decrepit stadium that's falling down.
Well, look, it's not going to be.
If you're going to buy and invest in a stadium, buy a share of Allianz.
They could buy the stadium and then they could put the $30 million in to give it the renovation it needs to just fix up some things. And to be fair, for Shane Richardson, you could fix it up within 5 minutes by starting to get a few beer tents in and a few other things around to actually make the service better for people.
Where do you draw the line, Kenny? Where do you draw the line? What if Cogra suddenly needs work?
Well, you don't need to draw the line. If it doesn't work as an asset, you don't buy it.
To be fair, the NRL have already shown their hand. Shark Park's not too far behind Leichhardt Oval. They've just bought a hotel adjacent to Shark Park.
Yeah,
not the stadium, Dave.
Well, who's to say that's not next?
God help them if they buy.
But what's the problem?
But that's what, because V'landys has always spoken.
We've got a carrot on the show.
V'landys has always spoken about tribalism and the strength of rugby league is in the community. There is no doubt strategically the purchase of the hotel at Shark Park is for a longer term plan.
What's the problem with the NRL buying Leichhardt Oval?
Well, because as I said to you, Kenny, it's falling down, mate.
But
so instantly, as well as buying it,
and they dip into their $700 million turnover, they put $30 million into renovating it. Then what's the problem?
Okay, what are they going to give it to the Tigers for free? Are they rent it to them for nothing?
No, they
That's
won't
not the issue.
The NRL will own it, and the NRL will own it, and the NRL will use that as one of their assets, like they're using the hotel at Cronulla, like they're using Gambaros up in Brisbane. They will use these assets. It will become an asset. They will rent it out for other sports.
The Tigers aren't making money out of it, so you're going to have head office renting a ground to a club at bargain rates so they can make money. What does every other club react? How does every other club react to that?
All right, we could argue about Leichhardt all night. A bit of a word of advice, really. Don't go there anytime soon.